So I decided to take everything that I have taught you all about belly fat and synthesize it into one video. So this is the video. If you're really struggling with belly fat, you're going to want to watch this video. I've done a lot of videos on it, so go check those other ones out. But this one has it all synthesized together. So I want to dive into 4 things you need to think about when you're looking at exercise and when you're looking at your diet to get rid of belly fat. And within these 4 things, there's a lot of little details. So this may be one of those ones that you take note. And some of you are probably doing some of these things. We just need to take it to the next level. And I also want you to know there's not like one fast you can do. There's not one like go-to strategy for belly fat. There's a lifestyle. That's the trick I want you to know. There's a lifestyle to get that belly fat down. And these are the 4 things you're going to want to think about. Okay. First, you know me, those of you who've watched me before, hopefully you know that I am very much interested in teaching you how to think, not just giving you sound bites that you grab onto. So, with that in mind, we have to talk about what belly fat is. So, fat in general. If you have not heard me say this before, I'm going to continue to say this. It is an accumulation of excess. Your body doesn't know what to do with all the excess that's coming at it. So the most logical way of looking at fat throughout your whole body is that there was too much glucose. So you were eating too many sugary foods, too many carbs, too many toxic ingredients. And so all of that, it spiked your glucose and it tried to get that into the cell, but there was a traffic jam. It couldn't get all of that excess into the cell. So what it did is it stored it as fat. This is such a key point because what we tend to do is we look at the fat as being undisciplined, but it's not that. It's that your brilliant body didn't know how to handle all the glucose and insulin. So what it did is it found another place to store it. So think of the fat that you don't like on your body as like a pantry that your body created for the excess. Okay, so that's number 1. Now, when we dive into belly fat, there is actually that is the pantry for 2 very specific things. It is the pantry for excess hormones. So ask any menopausal woman that all of a sudden starts to gain that belly fat. It's that the body's not breaking those hormones down, and mostly it's estrogen. We're going to talk about that here. So it stored all that estrogen in your belly. Or those of us who have been on chronic stress cycles for way too long, your body will store extra cortisol in belly fat. So when we look at the diet and the exercise plan that we need to burn belly fat specifically, we have to remind ourselves what is stored in fat. And the first 2 things around belly fat are extra estrogen and extra cortisol. Okay, now it doesn't mean that there's not other things that are stored there. So surely, if you're insulin resistant, your body will store extra glucose and insulin there. For sure. The other thing that it stores in belly fat are toxins. This is why diet drinks are actually making you heavier over time, because it's a synthetic chemical in that diet drink that not only spikes your appetite, but also your body doesn't know what to do with that chemical. And if you're drinking it over and over and over again, it goes to storage and it'll store it in the belly. Okay? So the first thing we have to do in this conversation is we have to really address what's being stored there. With that in mind, these are the 4 things that you're going to want to think about to release the belly fat. Number 1, the diet you want to eat is going to be more of a low-carb diet. Now, in Fast Like a Girl, and actually both Menopause Reset, I talk about a very specific version of keto that I found worked so well for my patients, and it's called the ketobiotic diet. And ketobiotic is not low keto. It's not like going into 10 net carbs or 20 net carbs. You're actually going to do 50 net carbs. So it's really important that we don't go too low keto, especially women out there, but we also don't want to get up into the 100, 200, 300 grams of net carbs when we're trying to lose weight, especially around the belly. So what's interesting about the ketobiotic diet is that it is allowing your glucose to go down low enough so that you stop storing it. So that's the first thing. If you're going low carb, you're not going to have this big spike of blood sugar, so there's nothing to send to storage. So that would be the first part. The biotic part is bringing in the probiotics, bringing in the polyphenol foods, bringing in the prebiotic foods. I wrote about those in both of these books. I've got a new book coming to you in the fall of 2024, so stay tuned for that. That's going to really dive into how we use food to be able to start to balance our hormones and break down this fat that's accumulated on our body. So when we look at the ketobiotic diet, it's adding the 3 Ps back in: probiotic, prebiotic, polyphenol foods, so that we can feed the microbiome in a way so that it can break estrogen down, so that it can start to stabilize blood sugar, so it can support the liver. That liver's a fat-burning organ. So ketobiotic is a really powerful way of eating, and it's the basis of ketobiotic is 50 net carbs per day, okay? So that's number 1. Now, if you tack fasting to that, 15 hours, 17 hours of fasting to ketobiotic, you have a wicked protocol for losing weight. And literally that, in my opinion, is why so many people are losing weight with Fast Like a Girl, is because the ketobiotic diet was so efficient at helping women drop weight quickly, and especially around the midsection, get rid of all that glucose. Number 2 is sort of an addition or a continuation of the ketobiotic diet, and that is eat more fiber. So one of the things that we have to remember is big plates of leafy green vegetables, big salads. This is not necessarily cooked vegetables. This is more the raw vegetables. That feeds a part of our microbiome that's called the estrobolome. And the estrobolome, those set of bacteria are focused on breaking estrogen down. So let's combine these first 2 concepts that I'm walking you through. When we're eating the standard Western diet and we are bringing our carbohydrate load up really high, and we're not eating vegetables, what we have done is 2 things. We have brought up glucose and we have brought up insulin, and the cells are now flooded. They don't know what to do with the excess, so they store it. So we go keto, and now we stop overwhelming those cells. But then you combine that high carb living that so many people are doing with a lack of eating vegetables. Most of the world is not eating enough vegetable. And so when we combine that with a low fiber diet, now your bacteria in your gut, they don't have the fuel to be able to grow strong and break estrogen down. So every month when you have that estrogen peak somewhere around day 12, day 13, this is for my women, then it starts to affect the breaking down of estrogen, and it won't clear your system, so it gets stored. Women that are doing bioidenticals or HRT, this is the same thing. We're adding in these exogenous sources of estrogen, and we aren't eating enough fiber, so we're not breaking it down so the body's storing it. So, and men, you are not immune from this. There are estrogen mimickers all over this planet. And so when you start getting that belly fat, a lot of times that's also this synthetic estrogen that's stuck on your body. And if you're not eating enough vegetables, you're not breaking it down. So the fiber is critical. Okay, check this out. I have a free fasting guide for you all. It's free. And it's going to teach you all the basics of fasting. It's going to teach you how to kill hunger when you fast, which is really cool. And it's going to show you how to break your fast, among many other things. All you got to do is click on this link right here and enjoy. Okay, number 3. The third food strategy here is eat more bitter foods. Now this is like I'm adding to ketobiotic is your base. If you want to know more, by the way, I wrote all about it in there. So if you need more info on ketobiotic, but ketobiotic is your base. Then we're making sure we're getting enough fiber, and then we're making sure within that fiber that a lot of that is bitter foods. Why bitter foods? Bitter foods support the liver, and the liver is your major organ of detoxification. So another thing that likes to get stored in belly fat is toxins. So I know it's like mind-blowing when you actually stop to think about it, that we put toxins on our skin, we breathe in toxins, we drink toxins, and the liver has to deal with that influx of toxins. So it needs you to feed it what it will thrive on. What it thrives on are bitter foods. I wrote about bitter foods in here as well, but let me give you a list. These are my favorite is radicchio. This is ginger. This is your lemon. This is dandelion greens. So the third thing thing is we've got to support the liver, and bitter foods are it. Okay? So those three things are like, that's where we start with diet. Bring carbs down, let's eat more fiber, and then let's get the bitter foods so we can get in there and start to allow the body to break this stuff down instead of storing it. Okay, so we got that under control, right? I'm also gonna add in there, before I go to exercise, protein. Now, protein, as I've shared with you guys, is the hero macronutrient of the day. And there is so much out there about 1 gram of protein we should be having every single day. 1 gram of protein for every pound of body weight. Now, I want to explain to you that I believe that is a good tool once you've done the steps I just told you. But if you take somebody who's metabolically unhealthy, who has a lot of weight to lose, and you start upping their protein, what we have seen in my clinic, what we have seen in my Reset Academy, is that actually makes them gain more weight. So I want to give you steps. I want to give you let's clean up the 3 steps I just told you, and then you can add in more protein. And yes, when you have more muscle on your body, you have more insulin receptor sites, so you become more insulin sensitive. Not to mention that your metabolism is running a little bit faster, because muscle will raise the heat of your body and will actually make it so your metabolism is literally faster. But don't go to that high protein thing first. If you want to lose that belly weight, you gotta play by the rules of chemistry here for your body, okay? So those are the food rules. Now let's talk about the exercise rules. Very similar. So the best exercise is HIIT training, high intensity training, where your heart rate is going up and down. So we do this in my Reset Academy every Saturday morning. We do a workout together. It's only 20 minutes long, but it is a powerful 20 minutes. And what I take people through is that we do 45 seconds on of an activity, like a jumping jack or a running in place. And then we pause for 15 seconds, and then we go back on to another exercise for 45 seconds. The goal with HIIT training is to bring the heart rate and the respiration rate up and down and up and down and up and down. That signals growth hormone. And when growth hormone is stimulated by something like HIIT training, it starts to burn fat. It increases your body's ability to burn fat, specifically around your belly. So I love HIIT training for that. And if you were to say to me, okay, just tell me like the 2 things I should do right off the bat to lose belly fat, I would say ketobiotic and HIIT training. I just want to make sure we don't stay there forever. So I'm giving you more nuance in this video. Okay? So now, once you have your HIIT training in place, maybe 3 days a week, you're doing this 15, 20 minute style of working out, then the next thing that you want to look at, of course, is weightlifting. So I talked about protein, how it builds muscle, so does strength training. So we want to build muscle for all the reasons I just explained. Okay, then the last type of exercise that will help with that belly fat is the calming exercises, where we're going to clear the cortisol. Because remember, this is cortisol too. So if all of a sudden you are like, oh my God, I'm going to lose belly fat, I'm going to go ketobiotic, I'm going to start eating every single day, the salads over and over and over again, and you have that sort of extreme approach to weight loss that so many of us have taken on, you're just spiking cortisol, and belly fat is cortisol excess. So we don't want to do that. So we want to be sensible about this strategy and how we go after this. So once we've got that diet dialed in, now we go to HIIT training 3 times a week. Then we go to strength training twice a week. And then the other 2 days, how about going for a walk or going out into nature? You know, it's been proven that if you go out into nature, you lower cortisol levels. How about something soft and easy for you so that we can bring cortisol down? I like getting out into nature because nature has all kinds of science where it lowers cortisol. But you're not going to muscle your fitness levels, and you're not going to like do it extreme to be able to get after that belly fat. It will not work. And many of you have tried it. You've tried dieting extreme, you've tried fasting extreme, you've tried working out extreme, and the belly fat's not going anywhere because all those activities are raising cortisol. So let's stop that. So that's how you get after belly fat. You have to know what is there. It's cortisol, it's hormones, it's toxin, it's glucose, it's insulin. Now let's build a diet that supports stopping that excess, and let's build a variation within our workouts so that we can come at this from as many angles as possible. And I promise you, what I just told you will absolutely help. So there you go. That's it. That's what I got for you. Okay? So you might go back, watch it, write down notes, share it with all your friends who are trying to kill themselves losing belly fat. Let's be sensible about it and give the body what it needs. And what I just taught you is what it needs to release belly fat. So on the next video, it's called Do This Before You Sleep to Avoid Belly Fat. And there's habits you want to do the night before, and there's habits you want to do in the morning, and all of those make a big difference. Make sure your room is cool. If our mattress is cool, if the room is cool, it activates the parasympathetic nervous system. This is a little bit like cold plunges.